Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Letter 1 to Mrs. Saville, England, St. Petersburg, December 11th, 1917. You will rejoice to hear that no disaster has accompanied the commencement of my enterprise which you have regarded as such an evil forebodings. I arrived here yesterday, and my first task is to assure my dear sister of my welfare and increasing confidence in the success of my undertakings. I already far north of London, and as I walk in the streets of St. Petersburg, I feel a cold northern breeze play upon my cheeks, which braces my nerves and fills me with delight. Do you understand this feeling? This breeze, which has traveled from the regions towards which I am advancing, gives me a foretaste of those icy climes. Inspirited by the wind of my promise, my daydreams become more fervent and vivid. I try in vain to be persuaded that the pole is near the seat of frost and desolation. It ever presents itself to my imagination as the region of beauty and delight. There, Margaret, the sun is for ever visible, its broad disk just skirting the horizon and diffusing a perpetual splendor. There, with your leave, my sister, I will put some trust in preceding navigators. There, snow and frost are banished, and, sailing over a calm sea, may we be wafted to a land surpassing in wonders and in beauty every region there hereto discovered on the habitable globe. Its productions and features may be without example, as the phenomena of the heavenly bodies undoubted are in those undiscovered solitudes. What may not be expected in a country of eternal light? I may there discover the wondrous power which attracts the needle, and may regulate 1,000 celestial observations that require only this voyage to render their seeming eccentricities consistent forever. I shall satiate all ardent curiosity with the sight of a part of the whole world never before visited, and may treat a land never before imprinted by the foot of man. These are my enticements, and they are sufficient to conquer all fear of danger or death, and to induce me to commence this laborious voyage with the joy a child feels when he embarks on a little boat with his holiday mates on an expedition of discovery up to his native river. But, supposing all these conjectures to be false, you cannot contest the inestimable benefit which I shall confer on all mankind to the last generation, by discovering a passage near the pole to those countries to which to present so many months are requisite, or by ascertaining the secret of the magnet, which, if at all possible, can only be effected by an undertaking such as mine. These reflections have dispelled the agitation with which I began my letter, and I feel my heart glow with enthusiasm which elevates me to heaven, for nothing contributes so much to tranquilize the mind as a steady purpose, a point at which the soul may fix its intellectual eye. This expedition has been the favorite dream of my early years. I have read with ardor the accounts of various voyages which have been made in the prospect of arriving at the North Pacific Ocean through the seas which surround the South Pole. Through the seas which surround the pole. You may remember that a history of all voyages made for purposes of discovery and composed the whole of our group Uncle Thomas's library. My education was neglected, yet I was passionately fond of reading. These volumes were my study day and night, and my familiarity with them increased the regret which I felt as a child on learning what my father's dying injunction forbidden my uncle to allow me to embark on a seafaring life. These visions faded when I pursued, for the first time, those poets whose effusions entranced my soul and lifted it to heaven. I also became a poet, and for 1 year lived in a paradise of my own creation. I imagined that I also might obtain a niche in the temple where the names of Homer and Shakespeare were consecrated. You are well acquainted with my failure, and how heavily I bore the disappointment. But at this time I inherit the fortunes of my cousin, and my thoughts are turned into the channel of their earlier bent. 6 years have passed since I resolved my present undertaking. I can even now remember the hour which I dedicated myself to this greatest enterprise. I commenced by injuring my body to hardships. I accompanied the whale fishers on several expeditions to the North Sea. I voluntarily endured cold, famine, thirst, and a want for sleep. I often worked harder than the common sailors during the day, and devoted my night to the study of mathematics, the theory of medicine, and those branches of physical science from which a naval adventure might derive the greatest practical advantage. Twice I actually hired myself as an undermate in a Greenland whaler, and acquainted myself to admiration. I must own I felt a little proud when my captain offered me the second dignity in the vessel, and entreated me to remain with the greatest earnestness, so valuable he did to consider my services. And now, my dear Margaret, do I not deserve to accomplish some great purpose? My life might have been passed in ease and luxury, but I prefer the glory to every enticement that the wealth placed on my path. Oh, that some encouraging voice would answer in the affirmative. My courage and my resolution is firm, but my hopes fluctuate, and my spirits are often depressed. I am about to proceed on a long and difficult voyage, the emergencies of which will demand my fortitude. I am required not only to raise the spirits of others, but sometimes to sustain my own, where theirs are failing. This is the most favorable period for traveling in Russia. They fly quickly over the snow in their sleighs. The movement is pleasant, in my opinion, far more agreeable than that of the English stagecoach. The cold is not excessive if you are wrapped in furs, a dress which I have already adopted, for there is a great difference between walking the deck and remaining seated motionless for hours. When no exercise prevents the blood from actually freezing in your veins. I have no ambition to lose my life on the past road between St. Petersburg and Archangel. I shall depart from the latter down in a fortnight or 3 weeks, and my intention is to hire a ship there, which can easily be done by paying the insurance of the owner, and to engage in as many sailors as I think necessary among those who are accustomed to the whale fishing. I do not intend to sail until the month of June. And when shall I return? Ah, dear sister, how can I answer this question? If I succeed, many, many months, perhaps, or years will pass before you and I may meet. If I fail, you will see me again soon or never. Farewell, my dear Margaret, excellent girl. Heaven shower down blessings on you and save me, that I might again and again testify my gratitude for all your love and kindness. Your affectionate brother, R. Walton. End of letter 1.